Hello, Candy and Daphne. Okay, we're gonna get started. Let me see. Hold on one second. So over here, hi everyone. Let me see. Lynn Taro says she makes it. Okay, everyone. Lynn, you already made the salmon and everyone loved it. Wonderful. Welcome. In case you don't know me, I am Elana Horwich. I have been teaching cooking classes for the past 10 years, based out of here in Los Angeles, although I have traveled the country teaching as well. And my focus in teaching cooking is getting people to become intuitive cooks, which means that you are not married to recipes, but actually have an understanding of how and why recipes work so that you can then make food from whatever you have in the house. This particular approach of mine is coming in very handy right now because we're not able to go to a market and just pick up whatever we want. So having this understanding of how to cook from anything is really important. And I'm going to show you tonight how to make soup from anything. Just a few house rules. You are unmuted, right? No, excuse me. You are muted right now. That's so we don't have people talking over one another. You are able to ask questions at any point during this class. In fact, I really encourage you to ask questions. I feed off your questions. I don't like just talking to a camera. I like to have feedback. I like to be with people. I want to feel your energy and I want to answer your questions. So please go ahead and write your questions in the chat box. Nadia is here and she is taking your questions and sending them over to my text on my computer. If for some reason your question gets missed and we're at the end of the class, just throw it in there again. It's just, we're just taking all the questions that we can. What else do I want to tell you? A few things is we are trying to reach everyone that wants to join these cooking classes, and the best way for us to do that is to email you. So will you please go ahead and add your email to the chat box right now. If you did not get an email telling you about this class, that means you're not on my mailing list. So please add your email. And there's something else. Oh, yeah, so that way we can send you newsletters. I want to let you know, as you already heard, we are still figuring out the times to do this, and we are also considering the places that we're going to do this. Right now, we are on Zoom, but we are going to, it's very likely that we may move on to social media and begin streaming there. So I would love to hear from you, whether you're on Facebook or Instagram or both. I think our community uses both of those platforms. Let me see. Leanne says, can we learn how to make fruitcake? I don't even know what fruitcake is. Leanne, tell me what fruitcake you're talking about, like a Christmas fruitcake. Okay, back to focusing right now. So please go ahead in the chat box and let me know, are you on Facebook or Instagram or both? Because I think those are the places that we may start streaming this. What else is it that I want you to let you know? We are going to be using many of the recipes, and the principles that we're using are from my book. I think a lot of you already have my book. It's Meal and a Spiel, How to Be a Badass in the Kitchen. It has a beautiful denim cover, and it has gorgeous photography on the inside. And it is very hard to get my book on Amazon right now. So fortunately, we have books in my warehouse, and we are offering them on sale right now. So that's because I am not, there in your house all the time. I, will be teaching cooking classes in the near future, but I am being called to travel far and away to work on writing books that have nothing to do with cooking. So I have put everything that I know to turn you into a badass cook, and it has worked for thousands of people. Go to elanahorwich.com, go to cookbooks, and put in the code, all caps, Kitchen Badass 20 for 20% off, okay? Kitchen Badass 20. I'll try it on elanahorwich.com, and then you can get the book delivered to you on time. It's getting shipped every day. Okay, let me see if you have asked me any questions that I need to look at. Love your book, says Rosemary. Thank you. Samantha B says, best cookbook ever. Thank you. Thank you. David's excited to be watching. Great to see you too. Okay, let's talk about making soup. So the thing tell you in most cookbooks is that soup starts out in exactly the same way and follows the exact same process, okay? So like I taught myself how to cook by reading a lot of cookbooks, and when I finally figured out that like they all go in about the exact same way, I was really frustrated with the cookbooks I had been reading. So that's why I created a cookbook that tells you the international language of soup. And in the international language of soup, the soup starts with sofrito, okay? Now, what is a sofrito? And we are going to be making one right now. Let me also tell you, as you can see over here in this corner, we are making a homemade broth. And I am going to show you exactly how to do this. I did get it started ahead of time, otherwise we would be here for a long time. But I'm going to easily show you how that's done. But I want to get something else started first so that I can teach you a lot of things in a short amount of time. We're going to be here for a total of 60 minutes. That's my plan. So let's talk about how a soup starts with a sofrito. Okay, this is a sofrito. The French call it a mirepoix. Many cultures around the world have the name for it. It is the base of a soup. A common base of a soup is carrot, onion, celery. However, really, the thing that's the most essential is the onion, okay? So what's in every sofrito, the base of every soup, is going to be a sauteed onion. Now, that said, it can be a yellow onion. It can be a red onion. Hold on. It can be a leek. All right, look, my leeks are getting a little brown. Doesn't matter, still usable. It can be a spring onion. It can be green onions, okay? So what's important is that the base of your soup, you're using onion, but you get to choose what is the form of onion that you want to use, okay? And different onions have slightly different flavors. So we're going to be making today, we're going to be making my soup. And for that, I use a proper sofrito. So I have my pan already heated, and that's helpful so that we can get started more easily. Do I normally make soup in a wide, not deep pan? Not normally, no, but I thought it would be easier for you guys to see, so I'm doing it that way, okay? So I'm adding olive oil to the base, enough to cover and then some, you know, olive oil adds flavor. And now I'm going to add my onion, carrot, and celery. I can probably intuit your questions, which are how much onion, how much carrot, how much celery. Okay, let's like not stress out about, you know, making everything perfect. But what I use is 1 onion, 2 ribs of celery, and 2 carrots. So that's what I used. And I'm going to turn it up. Now, when in a perfect world, which listen, perfect world is never perfect. So there's a lot of things to be grateful for right now. And what we really want to, we have food in the house. That's something to be really grateful for. We have the ability to take classes and be with one another. That's something to be grateful for. And so in a perfect world, what we want is to not just saute these for like a couple minutes till it like looks like it's been cooked a little bit. I mean, what I really want to do is to saute this sofrito for like 15, 20 minutes. This thing that's happening right here is the base of your soup. The longer you cook it, the more flavor the rest of your soup is going to have. I may or may not cook it as long as it should be cooked, only because I am here, you know, with you guys and wanting to, you know, be conscious of the time. But right now I'm putting it up to a medium-high flame and put it so I can make it go faster. Usually I would keep it on a medium-low flame and just cook it for a longer time. It needs a little more olive oil. So we're going to get that cooking. And another thing that I am adding to my sofrito, hold on, this is to go on the side, that I'm adding to the sofrito is, you can see this, is fennel seeds, okay? So that's not for every sofrito, that is for this sofrito, for the lentil soup. My lucky lentil soup has fennel seeds in it. Fennel and lentils go great together. You don't have fennel seeds, not a big deal, okay? I'm also gonna add some fresh herbs. So let me just show you what my fresh herbs look like right now. Like this, okay? I know that some of you, when you see herbs like this in your fridge, you throw them out. Don't throw them out. There are tons of flavor in here. They just lack water is all. So just because they're droopy doesn't mean that they're not usable. So what I'm using is some parsley and some basil. And that goes deliciously well inside my sofrito. So, you know, if we're making a lentil soup, we're making like a Mediterranean lentil soup, meaning, you know, we're using olive oil, we're using fennel, we're using basil and parsley. But let's just say you wanted to make like a, you know, a coconut curry lentil soup. Like you can do that too. And instead of like parsley and basil, which actually you could put on the top, you would use an olive oil. You might use coconut oil, and you might use ginger and garlic and turmeric and a little cumin. So it just depends on where in the world you want to make a soup as you sort of switch up the flavors. So I'm going to go ahead and add these herbs in here as well. Those of you that have my book, we are making lucky lentil soup. Okay, so we're going to stir this, and now I'm going to go look over at your questions. If you have questions, type them in now. I am here to answer them. Okay, let's see. Nancy says, best combo book and classes. Thank you so much. Okay, let's see. Tracy, would I normally cook those 3 items at the same time? I don't know what you mean by normally, but normally when I make soup, I put in my onion, carrot, and celery together. If what you mean is, should you first do the onion, then add the carrot, then add the celery, that is a way to go about it, but I don't find out that makes an enormous amount of difference. These will get browned together, and that's what you're looking for. If your question, Tracy, was also in terms of normally, is there other times I use these 3 ingredients? Absolutely. I use these 3 ingredients, a sofrito at the base of a meat sauce. So if we're gonna make an Italian meat sauce, I would use these 3 ingredients together. I would chop them more finely because I don't want pieces of carrot like that in my meat sauce. I want it even more fine. But yes, I would use these 3 things. If I'm gonna make turkey meatballs, and we're gonna hopefully do that soon, I would make the meatballs, and then I would put them in something like this and add tomatoes and red wine and do it together. So the sofrito is used all the time as a base for cooking. Okay, please ask questions. I'm looking for your questions. Okay, Wendy asking a fabulous question. When do I add the salt and the other seasonings? Well, I did add some seasonings in here now. I added the fennel and I added the herbs, but I am not adding the salt right now, okay? Does anyone know why I'm not adding the salt right now? I'm gonna give you a second to add that into the chat. I wish I could give you a prize, but does anyone know why we're waiting to add the salt? Type away. Why are you waiting to add the salt? Okay. Forces water. Yes, Wendy, you win. It forces the water to come out of the veggies. So if I start adding salt right now, the water will start coming out of the onion and coming out of the celery, a little bit of the carrot too. Let me show you what's happening here. Not much, but. And then instead of a saute happening here, we have a little bit of a bubble bath. Okay, we have like a steam room going on here. So it's the saute that makes the flavors really good. And it's like, think about it. If you're gonna eat vegetables and you saute and you steam them, like they're not that flavorful. If you saute them, that's when they're way more flavorful. So we're getting the flavors here. If I start adding salt, the waters come out and then it changes it. So we're holding off on salt. The salt will come in later when we add the broth. David asked leeks. If the question, David, is leeks, do you want to add leeks to this? Is that the question? Yeah, absolutely. You can totally add leeks to this. Like I said, you can add the onions that you want. In crafting this particular recipe, I didn't use leeks. However, do I think leeks would be bad with lentils? No, I do not. Or in this recipe with lentils? Absolutely not. They would be good. Okay, any more questions? No, I answered all your questions. Fantastic. Okay. So now we're going to move over to the broth. And I'm going to do a little switcheroo right here. Okay. Woo! Hot. Okay. Let me see if I can show you what this looks like. Can you see that? I don't know if you guys can see that at all. Anyway, it looks like broth with a bunch of stuff in it. Let me tell you what went in here. Okay, I took everything out. So I put onion in. I did not cut the onion. I just dropped an entire onion in here. So usually in my cooking classes, soup class, I actually just throw in another onion. I have like a huge thing of broth and I throw in another onion. I'm not throwing in my onion in here because I need to save it for something else. But you just throw the onion in with the peel. The peel is super flavorful. So when I cut the onion for the sofrito, look, I had some extra onion peel, onion top, onion skin. All of those went into my broth. And just to show you, like, look, that's in there, okay? That will add good flavor and actually darken the broth as well, which will make it nice looking. In adding broth, we add, so the basics are carrot, onion, celery, and something green is your base, plus bones of an animal if you're not making vegan or a vegetarian broth, but that's it, carrot, onion, celery, and green. So I added the onion. I have carrot in there. I have like 1 or 2 carrot sticks, and I have a couple celery sticks. This one I'll throw in, but notice how we have the leaves. I love the leaves. They're super flavorful, so just throw them in, okay? And something green, well, usually that's parsley or a bay leaf. And in my case, I put in a little bit of both. So just go ahead and add parsley and a bay leaf. Something else I added was leek. So I showed you guys my leek earlier. Hold on. So look at how my leek is getting brown. All right, big deal. Just take off the brown part. I cut off the brown part and I put the top of the leek in here. Let me see if I can find it for you. Oh, I can. Okay, do you see this? This is the top of a leek. It is now in my soup. Something else that I throw in, obviously, is bones. So this one's slightly cooked. I have frozen chicken in my freezer, frozen chicken legs. The part of the chicken that makes your soup flavorful is not the meat, okay? It's the bones. The bones are where the flavor's at. So don't go and buy a bunch of chicken breasts and throw them in there. That's not what you need. What you need is chicken necks are fantastic. They're very inexpensive and they're a lot of bone. Chicken wings are great also if you can't find the necks or the backs. People use chicken feet. I don't because I literally cannot look at them, but like you could put chicken feet in there. And I have chicken legs. So when you do use something like a chicken leg, we can also use the meat itself and add it to a soup, which we're gonna do later. I'm gonna show you guys really what I call sick soup, like a delicious immunity boosting soup. So something else I threw in, which is not typical for me, but I have some mushrooms and we're gonna be using mushrooms a little bit later for this bok choy chicken soup, but I have immune boosting soup. I threw a few mushrooms directly in. All right. And what the mushrooms do is they umami. Let me see if you guys have any questions. Oh, yeah, no, I do not cook the chicken leg first, Nancy, thank you. I put it in raw. In fact, I put mine in frozen today. So they went in completely frozen. But not that that's not what I normally do. I took it out just to show you earlier is all. Sarah is asking, does the onion skin cook down so I can eat it later? No, it doesn't. You don't eat the onion skin, it just adds it. So let me tell you guys a little trick. Like I really would love in the next week or so to make risotto with you. So, okay, I only made this amount of broth because I only have X amount of freezer space, and it's not that much. But if you have freezer space, and if you have maybe a freezer in your garage, like make a huge thing of broth, just put more chicken in it, more onions in it, more carrots in it, more celery. You can't put too much in your broth. The more ingredients you put in the broth, the more flavorful it is. So don't be like, oh, I don't know if I can put in 2 onions. Yeah, you can put in 3. I don't know if I should put in, 3 or 5 pounds of chicken. I have 5 pounds. I mean, put it in. Although right now I would say put 5 pounds of chicken in for broth, but that's how that works. Let's see. Hold on. I have got to stir our sofrito over here. It's getting brown. See, okay. Can you see this? Is the question. So you see the sofrito is getting a little brown. It's because I'm cooking it on a higher temperature than I should, but I'm trying to get it ready for us. So this is good. I'll come back to it in a second. Right now we're still going to focus on, we're still focusing on broth. What else do I have? White or portobello mushrooms. Susan, if it's going to your broth, doesn't matter. Whatever you got in the house. Whatever you like to eat is what you're going to put into the soup. They say shiitake is very healing, so maybe you want to pick up shiitake, but don't be so precious around these things. If it's going in broth, whatever. Chicken soup, Kim says, turns into the best chicken salad. That is 1000% true. Chicken soup does turn into the best chicken salad, so don't get rid of the meat. We're going to use it and turn it in. If we've got time, I'll show you how to make a fabulous chicken salad. I don't know if we're going to have time, but, if you guys are up for it, I'm up for it. Okay, did I say how much water, Nancy? So these are the reasons why I'm going to encourage you, if you want more precise recipes, go ahead and look in my book for my no-chop chicken broth. You don't really need to measure, It's just like fill up your pot, put the stuff in it, put the water in it, and that's the broth. So, don't be so precious about that. But if you do want exact ingredients, then my book is going to be perfect for you. Okay, so now we're going to do a switcheroo. Okay, so look at this. Oh my gosh. So because I raised I raised the heat, I got them browned more quickly. And they're even like slightly, like brown. Like, let me show you, like not burnt, but like a little brown. That's great. That's adding really, really good flavor. And I don't know if you can see this, but there's some brown bits at the bottom of my pan. I'm scraping that up. That's the goodness. All that stuff at the bottom is the goodness. So maybe what I should do is go ahead and finish making this barley soup, because we're, and then maybe it'll be done in time, although it's not really. Let's see. Did I say? Okay, that's it for the question. So let's just keep going on our barley soup, and then we'll move on. In my recipe, I call for 1.5 cups of lentils and about 1/4 to 1/2 cup of barley, okay? The barley takes my lentil soup from fantastic to an A++. It is really something special in the lentil soup. It's really fabulous in the texture. And guess who doesn't have barley in their house? That's right. So, so I'm going to make a soup that is, not an A++, but it's still going to be in the A- A range, which if you knew the family that I grew up in, that's nearly a failure. But still, it's going to be wonderful because I have delicious homemade broth, and because I have a sofrito that I let cook. I would love to let this cook longer, but we're going to do it. We're going to just let it be. It's still going to be delicious, and I'm going to add lentils. And just notice how I don't measure. Okay. So the next thing that we're going to do is add broth. Now, as some of you noticed, I did not add salt to my broth, and I don't. Not because it doesn't need it, because I wait until I use it until I add salt. So, broth has no flavor unless you add salt to it. So if I try to salt that whole big thing, you're going to die about how much salt I put in there. So I'm just going to salt in here directly. Okay, and I'm going to add, I am probably going to add a little less broth than this soup is going to need. That is because I am working with a very low, a low pot. I don't really have room for all the broth in the world. But we'll try that, start with that. And then I need to add salt, right? So I'm gonna add some salt in here. And how do you know if there's enough salt? Well, you taste it. Remember, this salt is not only gonna be salting the broth, this salt is gonna go into every little lentil that you have in there. So it's important that you, you know, use enough of it. I don't know if that's enough. We're gonna find out later when I eat it. So let's stir that in. I can still taste it though. The only thing that's raw in here is lentils, so it's okay. Look, it already tastes delicious, okay? It's already really, really good. What I'm going to be looking for is a thicker soup. That's what I like, is a thicker soup, and actually sometimes at the end I take out some of it, I put it in the blender and I put it back in, so like some of it's creamy and some of it is chunky. That's a possibility. Okay, let us close our soup and move it over here. Okay, if you have questions, now is a great time to ask them. And then I'm going to show you to make a wonderful immune boosting soup right now. So let's see if we have questions. Okay. Oh, okay. What are the possible substitutes for lentils or barley? Thank you for asking that question, Kim. Let's talk about this right now. Susan also asked kosher salt. Yes, I use kosher salt is the main go-to salt that I use. Okay, how do we make a soup from anything? So we start with the sofrito, and then we put in our main ingredient. In this case was lentils and barley, and then you add broth. Well, let's think about all the other things that we could add. You can add sweet potato. You can cut up sweet potato and add it in there. You could take a squash. This is in my book too, for those of you that have it. Kabocha squash, and just bake it in the oven whole like this. Scoop out the flesh and throw that in there. You can use white beans. You can use black beans. You can use anything you want. If you have something in the house that you think you can make a soup out of, go ahead and put it in the chat box, and I will respond to you on how I think you should best make that soup. But let's talk about something for a second. When I make a soup with sweet potato or with kabocha squash, which are both orange, sweet root vegetables, in my sofrito, okay, I'm not putting in the fennel. The fennel is for the lentils only. But I am putting in, I'm also not using carrot. Okay, because the carrot is already sweet. I don't need more sweetness with these. So for my sofrito, for my Sonoma squash soup, for example, that's in my book, or a sweet potato soup that I use for my sweet potato soup, I just use leeks, okay? Because the greenness of the leeks sort of combats the sweetness of the sweet potato. For my kabocha squash, I use leeks and onion and celery and green onion. All of those like greeny onion things combat the sweetness of the kabocha. All right, so I'd love to find out what it is you want to make a soup with, and like let's talk about what would be the best sofrito for it based on what you have in the house, okay? My tomato soup I make with the exact same ingredients. I roast tomatoes and I throw them in there afterwards without the fennel. Fennel's special for this one. Okay, let's see what everyone has. Carla says, broth. Listen, you can't overcook your broth. Let me tell you that much. You can cook your broth on low and slow all day long. And guess what? You're not going anywhere. So this is a wonderful time to do that, especially if you want to seduce anyone in the house. And when I say seduce, I'm not only talking about sexual seduction. I'm talking about seduce yourself. If you're walking around your house and taking care of stuff, every time you come to the kitchen or anytime you're near and you smell broth, you're like, oh my God, it smells good, right? Do that to yourself. Do that to your family. The broth should be cooked for a long time. I personally cooked mine for 2 hours because I started going at 3 o'clock and I put it in there and I kind of did it at a little bit higher flame. So sometimes in cooking classes, I make things go faster than I normally would. Rebecca Cohn. Can I talk about how to clean and cut leeks? I can. Okay, I can. Okay, so how do I clean and cut leeks? Hold on, let's make a little space. Yeah, this is a very good question. People often are like, I don't know how to use a leek, and they don't use the leeks because they don't know how to clean and cut them. And let me tell you, leeks can be your best friend. I went to the grocery store like 10 days ago. If you're like, oh my gosh, why does she have all these onions? She has green onions, spring onions, leeks, this, that. It's because I knew I was stocking up. So get as many onions as you can. Okay, the way that you cut an onion is like this. The cut a leek is like this. Cut off the top, okay? I am not throwing this out. This is gonna go in my fridge or my freezer and go into my next broth that I want to make. So keep this. Smells delicious. Then I cut off, I don't want to waste my leeks. Okay, but I'll cut it, I'll put them away special and use them soon. Oh, I'll put them in this. I'll put them in our next soup. So then you cut off the bottom, okay? Then you take your knife, don't use too big of a knife, and just make a little slit on the side. You're not going all the way through, just a little slit. And then you open it up, okay? And you don't really see dirt. Under the next one, I do see some dirt. So just take off a layer or two, okay? And then you just rinse it. You know, you could maybe rinse a little bit more than that. I buy everything organic and I'm not that particular, but look at where these are going, into the broth. Then you are just going to slice them. You can cut them in half first too, you know, or quarter them, depending. If you start using leeks, in my first chapter, Crazy for Christini, I show you how to make leeks with raw honey and burrata. It's amazing. So once you start using leeks, trust me that you're going to be like, your food game is going to go way, way up. Any more questions? I'm going to start making our soup, but I can answer questions at the same time. Haley, hi Haley. Haley's from Miami also. Haley and Tracy Spiegelman are part of my clan cooking club who I go and teach in Miami. How long do I leave the chicken in or you take it out so it doesn't overcook? Haley, you're not going to overcook your chicken in the broth because it's in that much broth. You just leave it in there the whole time. If you're working with dark meat chicken like I am, it's not ever going to dry out. If you're working with like breast meat in there, and if you came in late, we talked about how important the bones are for the broth, not necessarily the meat, just keep it on a lower flame for a longer time. And that is, it's sitting there in a bunch of broth. It's not going to overcook, and this is going to be in a chicken salad. So you're going to be fine. Don't worry. Don't be precious about broth. And as you see, mine is a no chopped broth. Kevin, can I use dehydrated veggies? What's the difference between frozen veggies and dry? I don't know what dehydrated veggies are like that for like NASA. Gosh, these are, well, we're in tough times, but it's not that tough. I would say I have no idea what dehydrated veggies even are. I don't know if you can use dehydrated veggies to make the sofrito. I know how you find out whether dehydrated veggies are going to know sofrito. You have to try it. How about you try it and let us know? I mean, yes, you can try. I don't even know what to say about that. I have never worked with dehydrated vegetables. Frozen. All right, let's talk about frozen. I would, to make your sofrito, you know, you really have to get that sizzle going, and that is going to be tough if you have like wetness in there, like I talked about. So if you're using frozen veggies, like, I don't know, frozen onion, does that even exist? Just dry them out before you saute them as a sofrito, or at least jack up the temperature so you don't have that water in there. If you want to use frozen veggies inside your soup, you know, that's going to be better. Maybe you want to puree them so you don't, you know, I don't know. Does that answer your question? I hope so. I don't know. Carla, does you do the same broccoli soup with same ingredients? Great. Broccoli soup I find a little tricky. I never know how to make the flavor perfect. But exactly, you can make soup from anything. Let's see. I jumped in 10 minutes late, so I missed you. What did you put in the plan? Can I please repeat? We're going to have this all going. You guys can watch it again in the pan over here, carrot, onion, celery, and lentils. My recipe is in my book, and you'll be able, we're going to post this video so you'll be able to watch it. Do I cover the pot when cooking the broth? Well, here's the thing. If I want my broth to stay full, I cover it. If I want it to evaporate to get thicker, I uncover it. Nowadays, I would say cover your broth because you want everything in there I'd rather have you have slightly less flavorful broth and have it last a longer time, have more of it. Somebody asked about that too. Do I cover the pot? Kosher salt, this broccoli soup. I got the green garlic at the farmer's market today. Any thoughts? Green garlic. If I know what green garlic is, it's like garlic with yeah, with the top on it. Can I see a picture of that? Is there a way I can see the picture? I think green garlic is probably quite delicate and delicious. I would consider chopping it up and throwing it in at the end of your soup like we're about to do right now. So let me show you my immune boosting soup, unless there's anything I can't wait for. Okay, so I have a pot, it's hot, and normally, okay, so let me take a breath because I talk so fast. I like sometimes get all caught up. So let's talk about what I'm gonna do here. Okay. I'm gonna show you how to make an immune boosting soup that is not going to be thick. It's going to be more like a broth with delicious things inside of it. So the delicious things that I'm going to put inside of it is bok choy. I usually call this soup my bok choy chicken soup. If you don't have bok choy, maybe you have some kale or some spinach, or you can use snap peas or, you know, green beans if you have them, something that's like not really strong flavor. I'm gonna put in a few mushrooms too, are gonna go into it. And then I am going to grate ginger and garlic into the soup right at the end, right as before I'm gonna eat it. So that's what we're creating right here. And for my sofrito, I normally use proper onion, but this time I already have all these leeks cut. We just cut, I'm gonna use leeks. And look at this fantastic green onion that I have. I mean, it is so fabulous. I wanna use some of this too. It's a spring onion, sorry, it's a spring onion. It's spring, guys, guess what? I mean, it's spring. It's like, thank God it's spring, right? At least that. So I could use some of the tops to go in my sofrito. I can also use the bottom to go in my sofrito. So, you know, you can use exactly like I said, the sofrito is always chopped onion, sometimes have carrot and celery. I am not using carrot and celery in this one. Okay, so look at all these beautiful things that I have going in here. You can also add garlic to your sofrito. That is a great thing. The more garlic, the merrier right now. So let's get this going. I'm gonna add olive oil. Oh, it's really hot. So when your olive oil is really hot, you gotta move fast and put the onions in. There we go. Because your food has water. So you don't want your oil to burn, so just, if it's hot, throw your food in there. The food has water. Let's see, any more questions? No, we got, okay, just gonna stir this up. And since we are in an immune boosting soup, I am going to add garlic into my sofrito. I will add it later as well. That's how you open up garlic. I think I showed you guys in my, last class. You just cut up some garlic. Okay. Yeah, you cannot eat enough garlic right now. It's really great. Let me just show you guys how gorgeous this got. You see that? It's like so bright and green. Beautiful. So we're adding that in. That's my sofrito, a very simple sofrito. This sofrito right here would be wonderful for sweet potato. It would be wonderful for cauliflower. My quick cauliflower soup, I use a sofrito very similar to this. Okay, still no other questions. Wonderful. Look at these like green things that came off my spring onion. Don't know what to do with them. Where do they go? Into the broth. You don't throw anything out. Everything goes into the broth. The bottom of this onion, into the broth. Everything makes it so flavorful. Okay, next thing that I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut up my bok choy and my mushrooms. So I'm going to cut up my mushrooms just by slicing them. That's all. Somebody asked before what mushrooms. So these mushrooms here are cremini. It's what I found when I was at the market a week ago. But, you know, shiitake, if you find shiitake mushrooms, they're very good for the immune system. Mushrooms are very immune building. If anybody is looking for a natural immune booster and you are going to the market, or you can go online, there are mushroom capsules that you can take. A man named Paul Stamets, who I've met, he's like a PhD nerd times 1,000 on mushrooms. He's the one that's actually just made a healing mushroom mix, like Save the Bees. You take this and you can take it every day and it saves you. I have it helps you not get sick. I have a mushroom tincture that I take at home filled with different mushrooms. I am taking that every day. It helps prevent sickness. So I'm just gonna throw in my mushrooms, or I could throw them in with the broth, but however it is, let's see. We'll throw in the mushrooms before, throw in the mushrooms after, give them a little bit of mix. Let's just show you what it looks like. Oh shoot. Okay, I already have said this before. I could be called the messy cook. I literally am super messy. But that is just to show you, don't be so precious. Don't worry. Okay, still no more questions. Look at our books. I hope you can see it, but let me try to show you. So pretty. Okay, and now I am going to just cut my bok choy. Super important to eat. Now this is a big bok choy. There's baby bok choys too out there. What I love about bok choy is that it's like really crispy. This part here is really crispy. Hear that? Okay. I'm gonna throw it in at the end, so it just cooks for like a half a second. This is what I'm looking for. Now I'm gonna take my soup, raw, and it just goes in here. And I'm just gonna add broth. This is gonna be so good. It smells delicious in here. By the way, I don't know if anyone wants, I mean, restaurant business is obviously not a good business right now, but if anyone wants to manage a restaurant, because I certainly do not want to do the business end, I'm telling you what we're about to make, eat up people around the block. Around the block. This, especially in California, everybody wants to eat stuff that's just like really light and fresh. Okay, so there it is. I need to next add salt. See if you have no questions yet. I must be doing a good job of answering everything, or I'm putting you to sleep, one or the other. Adding some salt. Let's taste it. Can't taste anything. What does that mean? Put in more salt. Okay. Now it's getting good. This is going to go in last minute. Let's talk about making this, filling up my bowl. So inside of my bowl, I am going to grate some ginger and garlic. By the way, what you see right here is a jalapeno on its way out, but you could add a little jalapeno in there if you wanted it to be spicy, so fresh jalapeno or fresh serrano. So I'm going to open up my garlic just by putting my knife on it, giving it a little bit of a crack, opens it up. I'm going to use my microplane, which is like my favorite tool, as those of you who know me know. And it's like best $10 you can spend for your kitchen, and grate a little garlic. Then I'm going to take my finger and I'm going to scoop the garlic out, and it's going to go into the bowl. You could also not use your finger, you can use a spoon. It'd be a little more sanitary. And then I'm going to take ginger, and we talked about this in my last class. Somebody asked, can you use ginger without peeling it? You can. So I'm just going to grate ginger in here. So one of the things that they talk about this particular virus is that it doesn't survive the heat. So that's not just the heat outside in, you know, the outer heat, that's the inner heat. By adding more heat-inducing foods into our body, they say it is a way to keep your immune system up. And that is just common knowledge. That is something that the Chinese medicine has known forever. So got some ginger in here, and the ginger is going to the base of my soup, okay? So you can just see, I just have a little bit of garlic and ginger. And now, last minute, I'm going to throw in my bok choy, because I just want it to cook for a second. Okay, and that's going in last minute. let's talk about other things that can go in here if you want to bulk it up. One, we could add chicken. Guess what? We have chicken. So I could take one of these legs. I can take the skin off. Whew, it's hot. And I can add chicken to my soup. Hot. Okay. Okay, it's hot. Sorry, I have bad language. Bach is in my books. If you know somebody who's offended by that, don't get it for them as a gift. Although I have to tell you, I've had people of on the older spectrum of things absolutely love it. So we tend to be pretty liberal in the meal and spiel world. And so now I have chicken in my soup. All right. Something else I can add to my soup is noodles. Oops. So I have rice noodles in my house because I teach 5 cooking classes sometimes. So I have rice noodles. You can use also soba noodles. You can put in, I don't know, what else do you want to put in there? Whatever, you put whatever, zucchini noodles. Like, that's amazing. If we were to do this with like a zucchini noodle, trust me, that's when they're lining up in LA all over the place. That's what everybody wants. Something else that you can add, and someone in the last class had it, is some fish sauce, red boat fish sauce, to give it a little bit more of a Thai flavor. That's actually yummy. I like that, so I'm going to add a little bit. I know it's not everybody's thing, but I love that. And let's serve it up. See if anyone has any questions. I have some questions here. Cece, where can I find this recipe? You are finding the recipe right here. It is here. It is happening right here. This recipe is not in my book. This recipe is being demonstrated to you live. It is encouraging you to not necessarily need to do everything by following the rules, but by cooking up something. You will know that if it tastes good, you've done the right thing. Okay, look at this. What a mess I make here, but have fun. Oh my God, this is just gorgeous. Let me share the spoon. One second. Okay. Look at, I even have these Japanese soup spoons. Are they beautiful? Okay, so look at what we have going on here. I'm just gonna make sure that my garlic and ginger gets mixed in. You can also top it with some fresh cilantro. I think this is cilantro here. This is parsley, but let's just pretend it's cilantro. You can put some of that on top. Okay, now let's eat it and see how it is. Okay, guys, we are talking extreme amazingness. What makes it so amazing? We have a homemade broth. We put enough salt in our broth. We made a sofrito that has delicious things in it. I have ginger and garlic in here. I mean, this is amazing. This is some people's favorite recipe. We do it in cooking classes sometimes. How should ginger be stored? Cece, it can go in your fridge or it can go on your counter. Either one. It's good. Might last a little longer in your fridge if you have room. Anyone have any other questions? I'm going to go back to the lentil soup in a second, but if you have a soup that you want to make and you're not sure what the sofrito is, or you have an ingredient, let's talk about that. I'm here to help you. Write that down. I see some questions are coming in. Forgive me, I haven't really eaten much all day, so I'm just gonna eat this in front of you. Oh my God, this is just fantastic. So easy too. Oh, I have a question I want to answer for you guys. Do these freeze well? 1000% soups freeze well. Let me tell you what's not going to freeze well about this one is that the bok choy will be soggy by the time it comes out of the freezer, but it's not a big deal. Also, you might want to add the ginger and garlic last minute once it comes out of the freezer. That way it's like really fresh. I add it to every person's bowl. I don't put it in the main thing. I put it to every person's bowl. You can try it the other way. What if you don't have homemade broth? Okay, this is a really big question. If you don't have homemade broth, you are going to do what I talk about in the end of my soup chapter, which is called, some of you know this, Cheater's chicken broth. Here is my recipe for Cheater's chicken broth. It is when you take a box of broth and you don't just put it directly in your soup, please God. First, you put it into a pot and you add 3 things that are alive in it. 3 things. It could be some remnants of bok choy. It could be a mushroom. It could be onion skin. It could be a baby carrot. It can be a piece of celery, or just the leaves of a celery. You add at least 3 things to it that make it come back to life. If you are just using broth out of a box, you know, I'm not the police, but you are not eating the kind of soup that I am talking about. And if you're not using homemade broth, you're never going to get the flavors I'm talking about. But if you have to use box broth right now, please do the Cheaters chicken broth. That is going to change your world for you. Oh, the green garlic. Oh, I see. Okay. So can everyone see that then? I guess everyone sees. I asked for a pic. Oh, that chopped garlic, I would take those green shoots of your garlic and I would put some of them in the sofrito, and then I would put some of them on top here. That's what I would do with them. Other things that you can do with that green garlic is you could, make a sofrito like those things I made and then just stick some quinoa in there. That would be delicious. So cook quinoa and then just toss that into your like a green sofrito. All right, let's go and look at our lentil soup. Switch stuff around. Let's see where. Okay, hold on. Give me a sec. Ouch, it's hot. My matzah hand covers. Yes, soups freeze really well, which is why, let me get this back on. Why they're amazing for right now. So, if you have room in your freezer, like make triple the batch. As long as you're making soup, go for it. All right, let's see how we're doing here. Oh, wow. Okay. This is not done. I didn't expect it to be done in time in this class, but it takes an hour and a half or so to make lentils. But I want to show you that the lentils are getting bigger. I can still taste it for the flavor. See? It's great. It's going to be delicious, but the lentils are not done. When they are done, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a few cups of this. I said this before. I'm going to throw it in my blender, blend it up, and put it back in. That way it's all nice and creamy and has texture to it. Okay. So the questions haven't come in anymore. I think we're getting close to the hour. I am going to finish us up with a spiel, right? I always like to end by reading a spiel, and I happen to open up to this page in my book, which is called Soup Starts with Sofrito. You've just learned it. You've just learned everything I had to say about soup starting with Sofrito, so you're there. And I will read you the spiel for Lucky Lentil Soup with fennel seeds and barley. I think you'll like this. This is one of my favorite spiels. At the stroke of midnight, as 1 year staggers drunkenly into the next, Italians throughout the world partake in a time-honored tradition to gather good luck. They eat lentils. Sure, they also get plastered and act like imbeciles, just like we do, but instead of stuffing their fat faces with whatever deep-fried abomination they stumble across on the way home, a la great American partygoer, the Italians search out a frickin' legume. Why? With its round shape and golden hue, each lentil looks like a small coin. So for centuries, lentils have symbolized abundance. Basically, on New Year's, Italians eat to get rich. Gotta love the Italians for their jubilant naivete. In my lifetime, the Italian economy has never been good. Could it be because the Italians managed to negate the lucrative potential of the nutritious lentil by cooking the New Year's version with cotechino, a thick, fatty sausage that comes in a long vacuum-packed wrappings? You can just squeeze the pork. No surprise to you, in the meal and a spiel vision for world perfection, there is nothing lucky about squeezable pork. Please note, I do not keep kosher, and I will eat pork in the form of good salami. But to eat fatty ground pig out of a bag brings no mazel to this medulla of meal. Still, Italians love their cotechino and love to complain about being broke. So it seems useless for me to try to address their long-standing economic crisis with one recipe for soup. Though let me tell you, I'm pretty sure Lucky Lentil Soup could do the trick. With its homemade chicken broth, fennel seeds, and bits of chewy barley, it's that good. Try and share it a bowl with someone who could use a little extra mazel. So just a reminder to you all, we do have a class tomorrow, the same time at 5 p.m. I'm going to show you how to whip up a pasta sauce from anything. What we're actually going to be using is a canned tomato sauce, canned tomatoes, but I'm going to show you the base of how all sauces are made, or most sauces are made. So in 20 minutes, you can have a fabulous sauce. I'm going to show you another recipe as well. My book, which is like really people's Bible, particularly right now, is very slow to get on Amazon. We have them still in our warehouse. So we've decided this is like, you know, I love coming to do these classes, but I'm not going to be teaching cooking classes forever. So like, now is your time. There's a 20% discount if you go to my website, elanahorwich.com. We're shipping them every day. Kitchen Badass, all caps, Kitchen Badass 20. Sorry, Kitchen Badass 20. You can get the book. Also, next week, we may be moving to go to Facebook or Instagram. So if you haven't written that down yet, please let us know whether you're on Facebook or Instagram so we know how to best reach you. If you haven't yet put your email address here, please do. That's when we can email you. I can spend less time tracking everyone down and just, you know, send out emails to reach you all. And if you have any last questions, I'm answering them. Thanks so much. That was awesome. XX so good. Oh, that makes me so happy. Thank you so much. I love Kevin, so uplifting and yummy. Thank you for this lovely offering. You are so welcome. You know, actually, you guys are doing me a favor, because if it's me just home alone cooking, like I kind of just make little snacks, little snacks, little snacks, little snacks, and now I've got food for like a week. Susan, thank you. Great class. I want to watch again. That's wonderful. I love you. I love you too, Cece. Please be sure to add your email to this list and let us know if you're on Facebook or Instagram, so I know the best place to broadcast these. Please feel free to share with your friends. These days, with more time to cook at home, I'll be cooking more. Love your classes. Thank you, Susan. You're awesome. Oh, I love it. I love getting all the love. I love you guys too. I really, really, really do. Thank you for, you have given me a sense of purpose. It took me a long time to find my career, as I write about in this book. It was a long, hard journey, and coming to be able to teach cooking and share a gift of mine, something that I'm so passionate about, has been really a true gift to me. So I really thank all of you who have been in the receiving mode of what I have been offering. I send you so much love. Don't forget to take care of yourself, right? Don't forget to meditate or close your eyes and breathe. Don't forget to share this good soup with someone that you love. See you tomorrow. Love you too. Love you all. Yeah, so much love. Okay. See you tomorrow at 5 p.m. And I think we're going to make the classes at an earlier time. So if you have an opinion about what time you want these classes, put it in the comments now. So much love. I'm just feeling you. I feel you all. Susie Sarlo, I think you were joining on. So you appreciate my generosity of time, my knowledge, much love. Thank you. It is a gift. I'm sharing my gift, but it is a gift to me to be able to do this. Oh, Rebecca, thank you. Such a great class. You are welcome, Rebecca. Thank you. I'm so happy to be able to be here for everyone. I'll see you tomorrow at 5 p.m. You need olive oil, you need garlic, you need red pepper flakes, and then basically you need anything you have in the house, and we're gonna whip up a pasta from that, okay? Don't worry if you don't have the ingredients, you'll get them at some point. Okay, I'll keep stirring my lentil soup. Consuelo Velasco, you are so amazing to have been introduced to your work via Patsy Palmer. Oh, Consuelo, love it. So lovely. Love that Patsy brought you here. Samantha, thank you, Samantha. Okay. Okay, we're logging off.